right, thanks so much for sharing your garden with us. And right now we're going to be talking about one of the hottest topics in gardening, herbs for your edible garden. And I'm joined by Amanda Moon from It's About Thyme here in Austin. And It's About Thyme, a great place that really is rooted in the herb business, but has grown into a full-service landscape center.
Yeah, herbs are, they're actually where she got her start. 18, 19, 20 years ago, her main focus was culinary herbs and antique roses.
All right. When you say her, you're talking about the owner.
The owner.
All right.
Yeah, Diane Winslow.
And it is a respected nursery, and right now I know the doors are being busted down by people who are interested in growing these plants.
There definitely has become a trend this year towards growing edible plants in your landscape, as opposed to just putting in color or shrubbery, and just being able to combine all the different textures and colors and tastes into even smaller yards.
Yeah, well, and you can do that. I mean, just because they are edible doesn't mean they're not ornamental.
Absolutely.
And there are so many of these plants that have gorgeous foliage, and as you indicated, just the textures alone on a lot of these different things warrant them being in the garden, even if they weren't edible. But let's take a look at some of these different things, because there's so many different varieties of plant out there now. People may not be aware of some of their options. Now, we're going to start with the mint family, and there are lots of different mints out there. When I think of mint, I think of this invader species, which you've brought.
It can be, yes.
Okay, this one here in the foreground is a monster. That's just the old spearmint.
That's the standard spearmint. You know, people are sort of referring to it as a mojito mint style now. It's becoming quite a little popular mint. But there's some great other options. Pineapple mint is one of them. Wonderful variegation, beautiful in the landscape, not quite as invasive as spearmint, but makes a wonderful sun tea.
Okay, and what
that is the pineapple mint.
This is the pineapple mint right here. I see the variegation. I didn't even notice it when I picked it up. Just a little hint of variegation.
That one's just got a little bit, and then as it grows and as it expands, it's going to produce more and more shoots that have more of that variegation.
I have to do this. Yeah. There's a little hint of that pineapple going on there.
And just take a few slices of oranges and put it in some sun tea with a big handful of the pineapple mint, and it's fantastic on a hot summer day.
I think it would be good in mojito, too.
Probably so.
So the pineapple mint in addition to the spearmint, and then there's yet another variety that you brought. And this one, I love the trailing thing on this, but that looks a little invasive to me as well.
Well, it is. That actually goes by two names. It goes by black stem peppermint or chocolate mint. A lot of people know it as. It has, you know, it's a wonderful mint to use in sweets and to use in hot teas. A very cooling effect when you have a cough. Mints, the best thing to do is to put them in a large container. If you want to plant them in the ground, cut the bottom out of it, semi-sink it, and that will help keep some of that lateral growth from invading the rest of your plants.
You can always trim around the container.
Exactly.
Well, very attractive too, though. I really like the dark stolon-like growth on these. Very cool.
But it will root along every one of those stems.
I'm sure it will. Now, scented geraniums, I have to say I love the geraniums generally, but the scented ones are especially cool. And you've brought a number of different ones here, and these are really aromatic.
They're extremely aromatic, so they're both an aromatic herb, but they're also a culinary herb. You can use them as a base for pound cakes, and they can be used as garnishes and in teas. And the nice thing is they're more shade tolerant than a lot of the other herbs. And this one is a variegated rose lemon, but the other options that you can do, one of them is citronella. One of the things we see is a mosquito repellent. That's actually a rose lemon scented geranium. And the best way to use that is to take the leaves, crush them up, wipe them on your arms, and it is useful for not only mosquitoes but biting flies.
Very interesting. Well, love them, and there are lots of different forms. I think we'll keep moving in terms of the different varieties of things that are available out there, but don't forget the scented geraniums. Now we have lots of different options in terms of oreganos as well.
And the oreganos are important because they're both deer resistant and evergreen.
Okay.
So they're fantastic in a landscape. One of them is Italian oregano. That's going to be your standard pizza oregano. Another option that you can do is Greek oregano.
Okay, now which is this one?
That's the Greek oregano.
Okay.
And that's going to be a lower growing, and it's going to be evergreen, and it's going to have more of a peppery flavor than your standard oregano.
Okay.
So when you want a little bit of a bite, that's what you would use.
Okay, so this is the Greek oregano, and I like the dark green color on this, and it looks like it would make a fantastic ground cover.
It does, absolutely, for sun or part shade even.
Okay, and this is the Italian, I take it?
It is, and that's going to be more of a 18 inches by 2 foot.
Right.
Sometimes a little bigger.
Sometimes a lot bigger.
Yeah. Very sturdy little landscape plant.
Yeah, I planted some in a dry garden in my last garden, and it engulfed some red yucca and a few other things, but it is one of those dependable performers.
It is,
Yeah.
and just trim it back every couple of years, and it was evergreen even this year.
Yeah. I took a heavy hand to it about once or twice, and that seemed to do the trick. So, and people should be aware that these are, for the most part, these are pretty tough plants.
They really are.
They really will keep going. Now, the thymes are really, really popular. It's one of my favorite herbs to use in my kitchen. And which one are we looking at here? This one has a hint of variegation in it as well.
It does, and it's referred to silver thyme because of that variegation, but it's a form of English thyme, and so you can use it for any standard culinary purposes, but it makes a beautiful, low-growing, spreading accent in your garden. Full sun to part shade, and the other times there's a variegated lemon thyme that's going to grow very similar. The French thyme is going to be more upright, so if you don't have a lot of room for a spreading herb, but you need something kind of basic, French thyme would be the one to do.
Well, and I love the compact form of the thymes, and I know that many gardeners will actually use them like in stepping stone pathways and things like that between the stones, because they have such a tidy and low-growing mounding habit that they're perfect for that condition. And occasionally, if you do step on it a little bit, you release that fragrance into the garden, too.
And elfin thyme and caraway thyme are two perfect options to do between stepping stones.
Okay, so keep all those things in mind. Lots of cool things there in terms
choices.
of thymes. Yeah. Now, this really surprised me, because we were talking before we got rolling here, and you're talking about the chards. And being good, I always think of these leafy crops as being winter crops.
Absolutely.
But you said this is a great one for the summer.
Oh my goodness. Swiss chard is probably one of the most heat-tolerant salad greens that we can grow.
Great.
I've got mine, this particular one is Bright Lights Swiss chard, and there are other varieties that have white or red stems. And this stuff you can put in full blistering sun, but it's also shade tolerant, and it can take 112 degrees and still be harvestable, but it can also take the extremes in the cold winters and still be usable.
Well, I love chard. I really, really love it.
Wonderful in stir fries and quiches.
Right. Yeah, I've had friends who have some recipes where they use the leaves to kind of wrap things and bake them like a lasagna.
Oh, absolutely. You can use
it
it similar to spinach.
Exactly. Anyway, wonderful stuff. Now, this one I really wanted to work in because I love the foliage on this. This is salad burnet, and I know nothing about growing this.
Well, salad burnet, the cool thing about it is its new growth tastes like cucumbers. So you can chop up the leaves and dress your salad with it.
Okay.
But it's extremely heat tolerant, makes a little mound in the herb bed or in the landscape even, and is actually evergreen.
Love the foliage on this. I love the way it just aligns along the stems like that, and a little starburst kind of quality in terms.
And it continues to grow like that as well.
Okay, really, really cool. So salad burnet. This would also work in some drinks, I'm thinking, like Bloody Marys or something.
Exactly. Certainly it would work with tomato-based drinks.
Right. Well, there's so many different options. It's hard to just pick any last thing to finish on, but real briefly, we've got to mention the sages, because I really love this plant.
Absolutely. Sage is a wonderful Mediterranean herb. It's extremely drought tolerant, deer resistant.
Yeah.
This particular one is tricolor sage. They're going to stay relatively small, so if you don't have a lot of space, like a square foot garden, they're perfect to use.
Okay, well, Amanda, it's been such a pleasure visiting with you, and I can understand why folks are beating down the doors to get to all these really cool plants to include in their garden. So, again, It's About Thyme, located in the southwest part of Austin. It's great to have you joining us today for the program, and people can find you online, I'm sure.
Absolutely.
Okay,
Absolutely.
It's About Thyme. And thanks so much. Coming up next, we're going to be hearing from our friend Daphne Richards.